Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFurio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, who has been making espresso machines by hand in Florence since 1927. You know, La Marzocco makes an incredible range of espresso machines that suit your needs for your unique cafe expression. From simple to extremely cutting edge and technologically advanced, the chances are really great that La Marzocco is going to have something that absolutely makes your cafe sing. They've been doing this for almost 100 years, and the level of quality, dependability, and innovation is unmatched. Now, coming up, we have the SCA Expo happening in April. So not only should you be going to the website, lamarzocco.usa.com, but also when you're at SCA, look for their booth and come see the latest La Marzocco technology at the booth, featuring the Innovation Gallery on tour. They are showcasing the Strata X, the new Linea Mini, Wally Milk, the Sync system, and more. You can have coffee at the True Artisan Cafe and get a sneak peek at La Marzocco's yet to be released newest products. So that's at the SCA show coming up very shortly. That's in April, so that's a great opportunity. And I would encourage you again, go to lamarzocco.usa.com and reach out to them if you're looking for an amazing espresso machine for your coffee shop. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rattleware, rattleware.com. These are small wares and other tools for specialty cafes that are designed functionally, made for professionals. They just make the process better in the cafe, kind of like an old friend that you can depend on. That's what you like to think of when you think of Rattleware. Whether you're talking about shot glasses, whisks, pitchers, knock boxes, tampers, scales, shakers, thermometers, they have what you need at rattleware.com. So go to their website, rattleware.com, and know that you're making the functionality and performance of your bar that much better. Again, that's over at rattleware.com. Okay, everybody. Well, today we're going to be talking about details and how we communicate details and why it's important for us to focus on details in our communication, especially regarding training. And this is something that I think has two sides to it. There are people who are a little bit more on the hands-off leadership camp who want to basically trust that people kind of know what to do, and we want to give them the freedom to do it. And I'm not necessarily against giving people the freedom to do what they know how to do. But the truth is that there are expectations that we have around different standards regarding drinks, regarding hospitality and cleaning and processes and things like that, right? So in light of the fact that there are expectations and there are standards that we might have that are very specific, but tend to not be communicated in a specific way, it really is on us. The onus is on us who have these standards, usually those in leadership, to communicate in detail and to resource people to achieve those details right from the beginning. The idea that you can be a little bit more hands-off and give somebody the wheel of the business is not a bad one, but giving somebody the wheel without a map or even teaching them how to drive is kind of a bad idea. And so we have sometimes this blind faith in people that is sort of an unfair expectation given to them, saying if they're the right fit, then they're gonna magically work out what I want. Sort of like we're trying to find a soulmate, but we refuse to communicate. This is not a great relationship strategy, and it's not something that I would recommend for training staff. And what I like to talk to my clients about often is detailed input begets detailed absorption. Okay. So in other words, detailed communication and instruction brings about detailed information absorption, and that person then internalizes that information. Then it becomes second nature. It becomes muscle memory. None of us can operate a bar. This is the truth. None of us can operate a bar purely from a checklist, purely from an SOP. While I love books like the Checklist Manifesto and tools that really high consequence professions use, like the medical field or pilots of airplanes use, they go through these things inch by inch. item by item, they do this because there's so much at stake. They don't internalize it necessarily and say, well, I'm a pilot. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm just going to wing it. No pun intended. They basically go through that as a discipline because they realize there is human error and their error will cost human lives. Now, we work in coffee and there is not as much on the line. In a very literal sense, it's not as life and death as those particular jobs. So we don't operate our cafes based on these systems necessarily. Those systems are there to shape us, first in our training and next in the development of our instincts. And our instincts are based on the information we receive about the world around us as we grow in life and in the coffee shop. So the onboarding process is entering into a new world that you are learning the rules of, the ins and outs, the dimensions. And if you're going to expect people to do a good job, say, cleaning the bathroom, then you've got to give them the ins and outs of that particular task and teach them in detail what it looks like to do well. What does it look like to clean the bathroom well? And at first, you are going to probably, like I have in my past jobs, take a look at the checklist and make sure I'm doing things according to the SOP and according to the checklist. Eventually, I have got this down like I'm doing a kata in karate. I'm like doing this movement exercise and discipline that I have learned that I do not need to go to chapter and verse to remember. But that is earned and that is coached, that is invested into by the people who set up the path to intuition, the path to muscle memory. And if you don't like what people are doing automatically, then it's probably because A, you haven't invested in that information up front, or you gave inadequate information up front and not as detailed as is necessary. So what I would recommend to you in this episode is go into your processes and things that represent the standards you want people to live by and examine them and see if you can't be a little bit more detailed about what your expectations are. So you can replace the word wipe down the mirror with wash the mirror with this particular towel, followed by this towel so that it has a streak-free shine. It's kind of my go-to example. Like the result is in the language. I want a particular result here. And I'm giving you the idea of what the steps are to accomplish that. And I know it seems fussy and I know it seems like a lot up front. And maybe you feel like, am I treating people like children and they're adults, they can handle it? But the fact is that whenever somebody enters a new environment and needs to be trained, you kind of regress in your attention and your abilities. You could have a PhD in, 4 different topics, but you're going to be kind of like a 4th grader in your first couple of days working at the coffee shop because it's just too much input. And it's more of your amygdala being activated right there than it is your prefrontal cortex, or it's just not your reasoning part of your brain that's in full operation because you're getting the lay of the land and how well that land is laid out, what the rules are, what the resources are, and how well you resource people is going to determine the quality of the work done when this crew, this group of people, works on these tasks, all of the minutia and the small and big tasks that create one singular experience that is your coffee shop. And so, we're not going to walk around with a checklist or an SOP all the time. We want to communicate details and we want people to internalize those details and absorb them so that when they are operating in that flow state, during a rush, when they're cleaning the bathroom, making coffee, closing out the drawer, doing all of that stuff, they are operating from a base of really well-designed instructions that has set them up to be able to trust their instincts and to do things efficiently and, most importantly, effectively. So I hope that that's helpful to you. Let me know what you think as always. And if you need help working on upping your game in your coffee shop, whether that's improving your operations, your people, or your quality and the systems and processes that go behind the scenes to really facilitate success in those things, that's what I do with my consulting clients at Keys to the Shop Consulting. You can reach me at chris@keystotheshop.com. That's CHRIS@keystotheshop.com. I'd be happy to set up a free consultation with you to hear what's going on in your world and how Keys to the Shop Consulting can help you. So that is it today, everybody. I appreciate you being here as always. Don't forget to share these episodes. Share Keys to the Shop with your social media following. Let people know about this show, just like a coffee shop that has been open for 5 to 10 years. And people keep coming in and they're like, I didn't even know this existed. Lots of people just don't know about Keys to the Shop. And I feel they would really be helped by the content of what we've been able to put together here over 7 years. So sharing those episodes is really the best way to do that. Thank you so much. And I'll see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from Keys to the Shop.